Welcome to the fourth episode of the Mage Knight campaign. It is the Orc Raiders versus the Apocalypse. This is a 25-point Age of Fantasy battle. Before the battle, in the midst of the blasted lands lie the ruins of an ancient magical civilization. The ruins are controlled by the Orcs and Goblins of the Black Sun tribe, led by Grand Moff Podo. Podo uses shamans to absorb the magical energies of the ruins to empower his army. The ruins are revered as a blessing of the gods. The Black Sun tribe has grown to be the dominant tribe in the blasted lands. None dare oppose Podo's control over the ancient ruins until now. From the uncharted lands to the north, an army of dark creatures marched down from the mountains. They crossed the blasted lands, undeterred from their goal, to reclaim their birthright. Leading the Mage Spawn creatures and revenants is Bahram-al-Hasim. Long ago, he has shed his mortal coil to embrace liberty only Necromancy can endow. He carries the banner of his long-dead forefathers, a claim to the throne of the ancient ruins and their vast supply of energies. Podo sounds the war trombones. The Black Sun comes together like a giant fist. The two leaders meet in front of the ruins to parley. I am Bahram-al-Hasim. We are what will be. We are the end. I bring tidings to this world, tidings of the coming apocalypse.
Huh? Eh? Moff Podo, what's apocalypse? Can we eat it? Or at least smash it and then eat it?
Podo looks back and shoos them. Be quiet and listen. I have read the carvings in the ruins. It speaks of a coming darkness. We must stand against this darkness and deny this valuable power source.
Comments? Like the scribbly things on the walls, boss? How is it dark, boss? It's midday and all. We haven't even had lunch. Could we eat apocalypse?
Podo is frustratedly says, why am I stuck with these nincompoops? Yes, you can go smash them and eat whatever you like.
Right. Now that's what I'd like to hear. Come on, lads. Apocalypse is on the menu.
Hasim turns to his servants. Come, my servants. Let us dispatch these disgusting creatures. This is a 2,500-point Age of Fantasy battle report. There is one objective in the center, which is the ruins, and to control those ruins at the end of 4 turns. Only characters can claim and contest the objective, though. For the Orcs and Goblins, Podo is a goblin leader running with magic potions, and he is fearless. There's a black orc boss who is mounted on a boar. He has double hand weapons. There's a 20-man goblin warrior squad armed with halberds, and they are furious. There's a mob leader who represents the shaman, the chaos shaman, and he is a wizard. There's 2 10-man squads of orcs armed with halberds, a 6-man squad of trolls who are armed with great weapons. They have been upgraded to fearless and defense +1. There's the black orcs running with dual hand weapons, and another 10-man squad of black orcs running with dual hand weapons. A 10-man squad of goblin shooters with short bows. There's a 6-man squad of orc brutes with great weapons. There are 5 of them, and one of them has a spear. Orc shooters are run with crossbows. And finally, there's a 6-man squad of giant boar riders who are armed with lances. For the Apocalypse, they are running as the Havoc Warriors. There's a Havoc Master who is mounted. He has the Dark March special ability, and he has a great weapon. There are 3 Barbarian Champions who are running as wizard upgrades. There are 3 10-man squads of mutants. 2 6-man squads of Drake Centaurs, all armed with dual hand weapons. There's a 10-man squad of Havoc Furies who will be running with Ren, and they will be coming in through ambush. A 10-man squad of Barbarian Horsemen who have been upgraded with flails. There is a Havoc Shrine with the Dark Blessing. And finally, a giant Chimera. For the Orcs and Goblins, the 10-man Goblin Shooter squads are on the bottom left as Goblin Archers. There is then the 20-man squad of Goblins who are running as Cannibals and Grenadiers. To the top, there is a 6-man squad of Trolls. Towards the center of the Orcs and Goblins, they have the 6-man squad of Giant Boar Riders to the top. To the left is the leader, who is the Chaos Mage, the Wizard. To the right is the Black Orc boss, who is mounted. And finally, in the center is Podo himself. Towards the right, on the bottom left, there is the 6-man squad of Orc Brutes. They're running as Crushers. There is then Berserkers, and above them is the 10-man squad of Berserkers and the Orc Pikemen. These are the 2 Black Orc squads. To the bottom right, we see the Grinders and the Chaff. They are the 2-man regular squads who are armed with halberds. And finally, to the top right is the 10-man squad of Shooters. For the Apocalypse, to the left, on the top left, the 10-man Werewolf squad is one of the mutants. On the bottom right, on the bottom left, the 10-man Were-Raven squad is the Furies. In the center, we have the 3 Al-Hasim and his 2 brethren are the Barbarian Champions, who are all running as Wizards. Right above him is the 10-man squad of Spectres. They are also a unit of mutants. On the type, there are 2 6-man squads of Dragon Ogres. Those are the units that are the Crypt Worms and the Werebears and the Wereboars. Those represent the Dragon Ogres. To the far right is a Chimera, and then the War Altar is right next to it. And finally, to the far right on the top is the 10-man squad of Barbarians. One of the Barbarian leaders is in there. And finally, to the middle right is a 10-man squad of Werecats. They are running as the 3rd unit of mutants. And the Spectres on the bottom are the last unit of mutants. For the setup, towards the left, the Ogres have set up one of their squads of Orc Warriors, followed by the Goblins, and towards the back is one of the units of Black Orcs. Towards the center here, we have the Shooters. We have a unit of the Dwarf Orc Warriors who are being supported by the Black Orcs behind them. Finally, towards the right is the 20-man squad of Goblins, with the Trolls coming to their right, all backed up by the Goblin Boar Riders, by the Orc Boar Riders on the bottom with the last hero. For the Apocalypse, they are running one of their Shade squads of the Mutants. They also have 2 of their 6-man squads of Dragon Ogres, who are on the far left, or on the top right now. In the center, there is Al-Hasim, who is running with another unit of mutants. Each of the 3 mutants all have one of the revenant, one of the wizards with them. Right above the werewolves is the 10-man squad of cavalry with the other leader. Finally, on the far left, there is the Chimera, and he is running. Right next to him in the pool is the other Werecats, who are also the units of mutants. And this is just the overview of the battlefield. One thing to keep in mind is that we will be testing out the new OPR 3.0 rules. So that does mean that some of the points are going to be slightly off here, but we wanted to see how the new rules are going to be playing here. So you'll notate that especially with the spells now. We just wanted to keep that in mind here, knowing that this battle's points may be slightly off. That's just an overview of the battlefield, with the center objective. That is the objective representing the runes. On turn 1, the Apocalypse get to go first, and they move up one of their mutant squads. The 20-man squad of Goblins, led by Podo, moves up in response. The Dragon Ogres, representing the Wereboars and Werebears, move up behind behind the specters. The troll squad moves up behind the goblins. Al-Hasim each has a thing. They all gather all 3 of their tokens and channels a spell. The spell is the 6+ spell to give 1 squad impact. He gives the Spectre squad in the center the impact special ability. They have used all 3 of their spell tokens this turn. Al-Hasim then moves up with his werewolves. These are the mutants moving up with him. In response, one of the 10-man orc warrior squads with halberds moves up to the center. The second unit of dragon ogres, this is the crypt worms, they move up in response. The shooters shoot at the werewolf squad in cover, hitting some wrens and killing 3 of the werewolves. The war altar moves up, as you see, towards the top, and it gives the mutants, and it also gives the horsemen behind them +1 to hit. Noted by that token. That's just showing it up and right behind the dragon ogres and the specters and the werewolves to its left. In response, the black orcs move up behind the orc warriors. The cavalry move up using their special ability to the Dark March special ability on the Chimera. We see the Chimera move up 6 inches, and then the Barbarian squad moves up themselves. The Goblins move up in range of the Chimera and shoot, but with the Chimera being in cover, they miss all their shots. The final Mutant squad moves up towards the center. One of the Orc Warrior squads moves up in range to charge the Chimera next turn. In response to that, the Chimera actually charges the Orcs. Between the breath weapon and all his multiple attacks, he kills all the Orcs to a man. The Chimera then consolidates back into the forest. The Black Orcs, seeing their brethren die, move up behind the Goblins to be protected by them. The Orc Brutes move up behind the Black Orcs in the center. The Shaman chooses to keep his 1 spell token to save it up for next turn. And finally, the Orc Bull Riders move up behind the Goblins. At the end of the first turn, we see the 2 armies moving closer to each other. The Orcs gaining an early advantage by the altar. Towards the altar, we see the forces closing into one another, with the Orcs slightly forward. Turn 2. The first thing that happens on turn 2 is the Were-Ravens come in on the top, on the far left, on the flanks of the Goblins and the Black Orcs. And finally, it is the Apocalypse or the Havoc Wars that go first. With their +1 to hit and their impact, the Spectres, Mutants, and their leader charge the 20-man Goblin squad. Between their impact, they also manage to kill all 20 of the Goblins. Oh, I'm sorry. So they charge in and they cast a spell to the Orcs on the left, and they kill 2 of them. That's what's being shown here. That's the Mage who uses a spell to kill 2. And then they attack all the Goblins, killing all of them, including Podo himself. The Orcs are mortified, seeing their Podo fall. Oi! Moff Podo is dead! Oh, that's okay. We'll just find another Podo. They're all over the place. Podo falls in battle before ever being able to strike. A combined total of 24 wounds was caused by the mutants. The mutants then back up behind the fort, behind the gate. The Black Orcs, seeing that the Were-Ravens are on their flank, choose to charge the Were-Ravens, killing 9 of them. The Were-Raven, so afraid, fails to kill any Orcs and flees himself. The Black Orcs, in response, consolidate closer to the Goblins. Seeing the Black Orcs have gone, the Chimera charges. He uses his breath attack on the Black Orcs next to him, killing 2 of them. He then kills 5 of the goblins. The goblins do not do any in return. And seeing their leader Podo die, the goblins fail their morale and they flee. The Chimera consolidates closer to the Black Orcs. The Orc warriors, seeing their brethren and their Podo die, charge forward recklessly using their halberds and attacked the crypt horrors, which are the dragon ogres. They do only 1 wound though, and the crypt horrors return fire, killing 9 out of the 10. The 1 remaining orc miraculously manages to hold. He backs off. Bahram gathers 2 of his spell tokens from himself and 1 other, and he blasts the remaining orc, making sure to kill him, hitting him and finishing the remaining orc off in the squad, and allowing the dragon ogres and the cryptworms free reign. After that, he then charges with his mutants into the Black Orcs. They kill 5 of them, the Black Orcs kill a few more, but barely winning combat, the Black Orcs flee as well. The route tests for the Orcs are beginning to fail them. Bahram then backs towards the center and gains control of the objective, standing tall on it. In revenge, shown off screen, the shooters attack the mutants, shooting and killing 1 of them, but it is enough to cause a panic from the thinned out squad, and Bahram and his mutants are wavered. The orc brutes then charge the specters. The chaos mage, attacks them, killing 8 of them, but they manage to hold. The werecats with the leaf move up. The rabid beasts and the dragon ogres, which are the cryptworms, charge into the brutes, killing several of them, but not enough to bring them below 50%. But the orcs still fail their morale test again, and they are now panicked, wavered. The trolls, in response, charge the remaining specters who had managed to hold on their morale check, killing the other 3. They then consolidate back. The War Altar moves up and gives +1 to the other dragon ogres to the top right and below. In response, the heavy boar riders charge into the dragon ogres who just attacked the brutes, killing them to a man. They then consolidate back. In response, the dragon ogres charge the boar riders with their +1 to hit and their impact hits. They kill many of them, and the remaining beast cav flee, forcing them to retreat. The orcs' morale is beginning to crumble. They consolidate closer to the trolls. The orcs go and they clear out off screen. They take some minor movements. And it is the cavalry that charge the remaining brutes, killing all but the Chaos Mage, but as he is already wavered, he automatically flees and is routed. Another fleeing orc is seeing a general rout across the army. As we see here, we see a lot of the orc middle and right flanks are being crushed. Their orc morale has been failing them this game as a general rout starts to ensue. At the end of turn 2, the orcs have seen massive routs, massive casualties, and have fled en masse, with very few units, only the trolls, the black orcs, and the shooters in the middle even remaining. Turn 3. In spite of their heavy losses, the trolls charge into the cave, but only manage to kill 4 of them. Despite the fact that they failed their morale, the cavalry were not below 50% and are simply wavered. The Chimera charges the Black Orcs, but their armor holds, and in response the Orcs charge and return 5 runes back into the Chimera, which also waver it. But it's not below 50%, and so it is simply wavered and not routed. Not shown above, but the Black Orcs fatigued but frenzied charge the mutants in the center. They kill some, but are themselves killed off by the fresh mutants. They then rout as well. Another squad of the Orcs have been routed. The Lich, already fatigued, casts a -1 to shoot spell on the shooters, and then moves up to reinforce Bahram on the objective. They now have two of their characters on the objective. The shooters, blind by the spell, still fire recklessly at the Lich and his mutants, killing 2, but the Lich holds. At the end of turn 3, the Apocalypse faction has a strong hold on the objective with 2 of his characters on the objective. Although 1 is wavered, they still have turn 4. On the turn 4, the Orcs get to go first, but the Trolls, being surrounded here, seeing that they are outnumbered and soon to be killed, along with the shooters, choose to just flee the battlefield, and a general concession is given by the Orcs. After the battle, Bahram stands with his brother and looks happily at the Orcs strewn across the battlefield. With this power, we will be able to summon more of our brethren. The Orcs are scattered but not defeated. We must prepare. Our presence will not remain secret for long, my brothers. At the end of the game, it is a victory to the Apocalypse. The Orc leaders were killed, except Podo, who managed to escape. The Apocalypse will gain 10 victory points, while the Orc Raiders will lose 10 victory points. Thanks for watching. You can always play against me on Universal Battles 2. Provide feedback. Especially for this campaign, I'm really enjoying this campaign, so I'd love to get any feedback. We're really looking to try and get some subscribers onto the channel, so please like, subscribe, and comment. We would love that. And if you're in Austin, you can always join the Austin Alternative Gaming Freaks group. Thank you so much.